Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Stuck in the Simbin. I'm your host, Michael McCormack, and as always, I'm joined alongside by Luke Owens and Matt Watling. Can't speak today. Apparently.
That's all good.
Gentlemen, you know the drill. Let's jump into this week's power rankings. Coming in at number 5, we have the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, and they had a dominant 4-1 win against those Carolina Hurricanes, who were on our power rankings not too long ago. Alexander Ovechkin still in his prime, 49 goals this year, on pace for 52, I believe. And, you know, they're average in terms of defense, but they always really crank it up around playoff time.
Love it. And at number 4, the scorching hot Calgary Flames, and they are 3-1 in their last 4, and they have clinched a playoff spot. And we'll get to the Sharks later, but if the Sharks do continue to play bad, the Flames will eventually clinch a playoff spot tonight, or the Pacific tonight. And at number 3, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, 95 points on a little bit of a hot streak, now tied in second place in the Metropolitan Division, as we'll touch on later. 6-2-2 in their last 10. I thought in the beginning of the year maybe they were going to miss the playoffs finally this season, but they have that 5th best power play unit, 12th best penalty kill unit, 6th in goals per game. They have some tough games coming up in the Predators and the Hurricanes where maybe the Islanders can capitalize. But it's been Sidney Crosby, 94 points, leading the way as always.
And at number 2, it's the Golden Misfits, or better known as the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, and they're playing so much better than they have to earlier in the season. Marc-Andre Fleury playing a lot better, and then Mark Stone finding his footing a little bit. He's got 8 points in 13 games. What was thought as the biggest trade deadline acquisition has really come through for this team, especially in his defensive play.
Yeah, I'm happy they started putting all those pieces together to go for a farther playoff run. And at number 1, it's Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, pretty boring.
Big surprise here. Big surprise.
Yeah, they're still number 1, but I guess I'll go with a fun Tampa Bay Lightning news story this week. Steven Stamkos set the franchise record with his 384th career goal, passing Vinny Lecavalier. A little bit of a tough pronunciation there, but
a little mustard on that.
Yeah, a little mustard, a little French Dijon on that one. But that's my fun fact. And obviously, the Lightning are still number 1, and it's boring. But I tried to bring a little spice to it.
And let us now shift to a team that is still a bottom feeder in the league, the New Jersey Devils. The Devils have been playing better recently, but unfortunately they are far out of a playoff contention. Guys, what have we seen from the Devils as of late?
They've actually been playing a little, pretty well lately, as we'll roll the highlights. They've set up especially on the defensive end with solid goaltending, but they've been able to score the puck too. A couple of guys coming back from injury. Hill and Butcher are still out, which is big, but Palmieri and Hischier are both back in that lineup. So as you see here against the Sabres, a lot of movement in front of the net, which sets up nicely, but no goals allowed here also, so the goaltending's been solid too.
Yeah, you look at their goaltending now. They've been alternating games for the last 10, and really strong goaltending as of late, but you kind of question who is the goaltender that you kind of see moving forward. Mackenzie Blackwood, the first-year guy, the rookie, in his last 5 games, 3.6 goals against, and for Schneider, he's kind of breaking out of his schneid, if you will, with 2.6 goals against, both above league average, but moving forward, I think Schneider has to be your guy.
Yeah, I don't know why there's been so much Schneider kind of disrespect throughout this season, and they seem like they want. Yeah, Mike, go for it. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I honestly think that Corey Schneider's just kind of going through the thing he did in Vancouver, where it was just him and Luongo going back and forth, and he could never actually catch his stride again. And I think that happened with Kincaid last season, that he started playing really hot, and Schneider kind of lost a couple starts and wasn't really getting back into his flow. And I think the same thing's happening right there.
Do you think his time's up for his time with the Devils, I should say?
I don't think it's up, because I think he still has, 4 years left on his contract maybe? I think he'll stay there for the remaining years of his contract. I don't think they'll move him. I think the Devils maybe hope that they can get him back in the.
I think he can, because he kind of had that issue in Vancouver. But you're looking at a guy against him in Blackwood, and I would take Schneider 9 times out of 10.
Yeah,
and 10 times
it's
on
too
Sunday.
Soon. It's just too soon.
Well, yeah, right now
it's too soon.
But I think Schneider's a better goaltender
Yeah.
than Blackwood. I think Blackwood can be groomed kind of like Georgiev of the Rangers. But right now, I think Schneider's a good goaltender. I think he can get back to that form next year when he has a better team around him. More importantly, because this team's not very good.
Yeah. And that's all the time we have for now, but when we come back, we'll be crossing state borders, and we'll talk about the Rangers and Islanders. You're watching Stuck in the Simbin on WTOP 10.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion. Learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.
Welcome back to Stuck in the Sin Bin. With the regular season coming to a close, the New York Rangers are in full tank mode, dropping 6 of their last 7 games. They have shifted their focus to the offseason and the upcoming NHL draft. Boys, what positives can we take out of this season?
You know, I think you look at Alexander Georgiev, and he's kind of taking over for Lundqvist in the sense that he's played really strong. His last 5 games, he's won 3-1, a 3 goals against average, but a .916 save percentage. And that number kind of speaks volumes to me in the sense that he's facing a lot of shots. He's still making the saves. It's a high goals against, but that's because he's facing so many shots. And I think he's a guy that in 2 or 3 years when the rebuild's done, he could be our starting goaltender, and I didn't think that coming into the season. So I think that's a big plus for this team.
I think his rose to fame was so quick, and it caught everybody off guard because only 2 years ago, like, the Rangers signed him out of some league in Bulgaria or something, and sure enough, he's already like the Rangers' best backup that they have. And I think, like you mentioned, like he's facing so many shots and he's handling it so well. We saw it in the Toronto game too. So I think it's been great.
Yeah, and also I think a benefit of this season is they've kind of settled into that tank mode. It took them a little while after the trade deadline to start actually losing those games, which is kind of weird to say, but it is, of course, a benefit. And one guy I know Mike wants to talk about is Pavel Buchnevich. Sorry about that.
It's a tongue twister. 5
goals, 3 assists his last 10 games. I think he's really stepped into that leadership role really nicely. After kind of being challenged by the coaching staff, I think he's done a nice job responding, and he's played really well.
Yeah, Chris Kreider has recently been injured, and it feels like he's stepped into that role and that slot in the lineup. And I told you guys before the show, but 33 of his points, of the 34 that he's had, are either a goal or a primary assist, which are actually pretty insane when you like in numbers when you think about it. That I think is 18 goals, like, and all the other like 15 points are primary assists. That's pretty remarkable.
It's really impressive, and there's been a lot of talk about the Rangers looking to make a splash in free agency. You look at a guy like Artemi Panarin; he's been linked to the Rangers frequently, and Mike, I don't think their defense is good enough to want this signing. Because even if you sign a guy like Panarin, I don't see them making the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I think that, in my own opinion, I would love to get Panarin, but I just don't think that they end up getting him in the end. I think they're going to offer him a contract, but I don't think they're going to end up signing him. And the defense, it's not playoff ready. We're seeing it
Not
this
even
season.
close.
You have a bunch of top 6 defensemen, and Shattenkirk, you can argue that at times he's top 4, but there's a lot more growth and a lot more maturing that needs to happen on that blue line in order for it to be playoff ready.
Yeah, I agree with that. But one thing that's been interesting is, other guys that have kind of stepped up, guys like Brendan Lemieux, guys like Ryan Strome have also stepped up recently. So it's been good to see kind of the pieces that the Rangers have moving forward.
Exactly, agreed. And staying with the New York theme, the New York Islanders are 3rd in the Metropolitan Division, but recent injuries to Andrew Ladd and Valtteri Filppula have shown us that their depth is severely flawed. Throwing it over to Matt, what should the Isles have done, or what should they do to finish the season in a better position?
I mean, you look at their play now, and their offense is just it's so putrid, and their defense is just as bad. If you watched the video last night against the Blue Jackets, their defense isn't the same. They're making the same simple mistakes in the defensive zone, blown coverages in tight, and poor goaltending. You saw last night. They give up 4 goals, and you don't expect that from a guy like Thomas Greiss. His goaltending last night was not good enough, and you expected it to be a lot better the way this team is built.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this Blue Jackets game. I mean, they were firing the cannons a lot in that game down in Columbus. But yeah, it was tough goaltending. But at the same time, the Islanders just have not found a way to score. I mean, Lee, Barzal, Eberle, only 2 points the last 5 games on that top line. Granted, they've only scored 6 goals as a team during that time period. So it just seems like they needed that source of offense at the trade deadline, and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And that has me worried going to the playoffs.
Yeah, so they need offense, and they have only 6 goals in their last 5 games, and they've been shut out 3 times. 3 times.
It's really bad. And I mean, you look at some of these injuries. Andrew had ACL tear. Phil Pula, an upper body injury. He's out 3 weeks, and that would be 2 to 4 games into the first round of the playoffs. And now you're looking at their center depth, and there's nothing there. Right now, they have a wing playing third-line center minutes. That can't happen. You can't have Mitch Fritz, of all players, or Tanner Fritz, excuse me, playing big-time minutes in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a guy like Brian Boyle, who from the Devils goes to Nashville. That's a perfect acquisition. Or that style of player. You know, a mid-round pick, send it that way. You have picks from Calgary either from last year or now. You can make that trade. You have plenty of assets to make a move. And, you know, you have to trust Lamoriello. He's a Hall of Famer, but there's a lot of questions moving forward about this team if they don't make a splash this offseason.
Was it like 9 years now they haven't made like a move at a deadline or something like that?
I think the last big move was Ryan Smith. And that ended poorly, but at least you're making a move. I would have much rather them seen them make a move and strike out. Because going into this playoffs, I thought they could win a playoff series at the very least. Now, I don't think they win a single playoff series.
Right.
I'd be shocked if they won a game against a team like the Penguins, who are just completely outmatched the Islanders.
Yeah, and even going off that point, some of these recent games have been against playoff caliber teams. I mean, Columbus 4-0 loss, Montreal 4-0 loss, Boston 5-0 loss. So these are playoff ready teams, and the Islanders just don't seem to be at that level that we saw. Even just a couple weeks ago, we were talking about them winning a playoff series.
Yeah, Matt, you and I were at the same game. The Boston Islanders
ugly.
game. They did not control a
very
second.
ugly.
They did not control a second of that
They
game.
never play Boston well, but that was ugly.
Yeah, and that's all the time we have for Rangers and Islanders talk. But when we come back, you're going to find out which profound news anchor called the play-by-play for the Los Angeles Kings this past week. We'll be right back on Stuck in the Sin Bin.
You don't have to wear a uniform for service or sacrifice. Every day, ordinary Americans perform extraordinary acts of courage and selfless service. Please join us in recognizing citizen heroes who have made a difference in the lives of others through their acts of courage and selfless service in communities across America. Nominate a citizen hero today at themedalofhonor.com.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Here at WTOP, we pride ourselves on delivering you all the news you need to know from the day's events.
Whether it's happened on Capitol Hill or right here in Oswego,
we make sure you know all about it. We keep you up to date on all your favorite
Oswego and professional sports.
And our Storm Team 10 meteorologists will make sure that you know exactly what weather you're up against when you start your day.
Every Monday through Thursday night, make sure to tune in to Channel 10.2, because at WTOP, we don't just tell you the news.
We are
the news.
Welcome back to Stuck in the Sin Bin. With the NHL season coming to an end, we have some news stories to get to. Our first piece of news comes from Boston, where the Bruins have extended the contract of their current captain, Zdeno Chara. The 42-year-old, 6'9" defenseman has signed a one-year contract extension worth $3.75 million. Matt, what do you make of this signing?
You know, shortly after the signing, he said that he wants to play for as long as possible and sign deals that allow the Bruins to compete and have some cap flexibility. And that's all you want from your aging captain. You want a guy that's going to take one-year deals, kind of proven contracts, play until he's done, and taking those low AAVs allows the Bruins to continue to be competitive.
Yeah, and you talk about their old veteran. This man is 42 years old. He's still playing on the top line, and he's still playing at a top line level. I mean, what a career for Chara. He's one of those guys that maybe we don't talk about enough, but he's been absolutely amazing for that city.
One thing I love about Chara, too, is that I was watching the game earlier before against the Rangers, and he's still mobile. Like, he can still move the puck up the ice. It's awesome.
Yeah, and he's got that long stick, so he's able, even when he has lost a step in terms of speed, he has so much length and so much reach that he's able to move around and kind of poke around guys, and that really makes up for his skating lack of ability just because he's 42. And he's still playing big line minutes with Charlie McAvoy, the Long Island native.
You had to
throw it in there.
You had to get it in there.
And I'm sure most of our audience currently watching has seen the two iconic Anchorman comedy films. Well, last week, Ron Burgundy called the play-by-play for the second period of the LA Kings game against the San Jose Sharks. So take a look.
And we are about to begin the second period. Why don't we take it away, gentlemen, and turn down to the ice.
Yes.
You and I shared a couple of Molsons.
I only had one.
You don't mind if I bite into this burrito right now, do you? Oh, my God. Yeah. When does the kiss cam start?
Oh, that's... I don't know.
You know, it'd be something like this. Kopitar with the puck. He dribbles, he skates up the ice and says, shot on goal! He scores! Put that baby to bed without a diaper. And for those of you at home, we've had to stop action on the ice several times. Yeah. Feral cats have run onto the ice. It's the first time I've ever been on the kiss cam. This is one of the greatest nights of my life. I got to kiss a burrito.
How can you not love Will Ferrell?
I love that.
He is
what an
unbelievable.
absolute story. That wasn't Will Ferrell.
Ron Burgundy.
Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about here. Absolutely incredible. You saw it from the LA Kings Twitter account, and they posted a bunch of videos there, and it was incredible. And I love Anchorman.
Yeah, you can't.
I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. The second one, not as good as first, but it was still pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. It was still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love about, not Will Ferrell, but Ron Burgundy, he's also coming out with that podcast, which I'm sure is going to be super awesome. And I mean, why not? The Kings have nothing else to play for, so go for it.
All right, and our last bit of news comes from from California, where the playoff-bound San Jose Sharks have been on quite a skid lately, having lost their last 6 games in a row. What's your thoughts on the Sharks' recent play, Matt?
You know, there's been some really bad losses in that stretch. Yeah. LA Kings a 4-2 loss, the Ducks a 4-3 loss in overtime, and Detroit losing to them 3-2. And it kind of just shows Martin Jones had a really mediocre year, and it's kind of finally catching up to him. In his last 4 games played, he's given up 3.75 goals against. That is really bad for a goaltender that's typically pretty good.
I'm kind of mad, Matt. You literally stole every single point I wanted to make. The Sharks have had some really bad losses, and Martin Jones has become a little bit too much of a question mark. And also, kind of this defense in front of him hasn't been playing that well lately, which you wouldn't expect with Brett Burns running the show there. But I don't know. I just don't think Martin Jones is good enough for the Sharks to win in the West. And it's going to be ultra competitive, especially at the top. Teams like the Flames. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a pretty big 5-hole. That's one thing he can't cover. We saw it against our Dylan Larkin's penalty shot there. Wasn't very good. So, you know, that's all the time that we have for news. But when we come back, the boys and I will discuss Sabres hockey and then narrow down which NHL mascot is truly the best in our own March Madness style bracket. You're watching Stuck in the Sin Bin on WTOP 10.
Hey, President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think? WTOP!
Guys, I don't feel so good. Shouldn't have had that chili for lunch.
The second I got on the campus, I knew Oswego was the place to go. there's a place for everybody at Oswego.
This school just opens the world to you. Have the opportunity to explore and to learn so many different things, not only about yourself, but the people around you and the world.
It definitely is about the student. I felt it to be very about me.
Now that I'm here, I can't imagine myself anywhere else.
How do we afford all this?
Welcome back to Stuck in the Simbin. If you looked at the standings recently, you would notice that the Sabres aren't really doing that hot this year. Sabres have fallen off dramatically since their great first half of the season. Turn it over to Luke. What's been wrong with the Sabres these past 30 or so games?
I'm going to let the film do the talking. We're going to roll it here. I'm going to let you guys be the judge. I think it's been a lack of effort. And, you know, this was a defense coming in that we didn't know how much we trusted with Rasmus Ristolainen, the young guy Rasmus Dahlin. But here, it just looks like they're playing lazy in front of the net. And it hasn't been great goalkeeping, but it just looks lazy. It just looks like they don't want to be there. And I don't know if that's a coaching issue or what the issue here is, but someone needs to get in there, get in that locker room, a guy like Jack Eichel, use your voice, because these guys just look like they don't want to be there.
I mean, right there, it's 5-on-5, and you have no one covering the one guy in front of the net.
This one's my favorite.
He's the most dangerous guy in front of the net, too.
Look at, just giving
right
up.
Here,
just giving
what
up.
is the goaltending doing there as well? I mean,
that's
flying out of position. I mean, that's rough. And I think it does kind of go, maybe it's a lost season. There's, what, 5 games left? How much do you really have to play for? But at the same time, you look at the Rangers, and they're playing hard. David Quinn's got them rolling. What's Phil Housley doing?
Well, what really makes me mad is that last year, way different scenario. The Sabres were in a much worse position. We were talking about the last place team in the NHL last season, and Jack Eichel got in there and he yelled. He kind of went off on the media. He said, these guys are acting like they don't want to be here. And now the same thing's happening, and we haven't heard anything from Eichel. Phil Housley just says, oh, everything's fine, and obviously everything isn't fine. This is not the right attitude going into next season.
Yeah, it's kind of like he doesn't want the fans to freak out or something, or kind of pin it all on himself, Housley.
It's too late for that.
So,
I'll tell you that. On Twitter, it's way too late.
The fire Housley.
Phil Housley is gone in the minds of Sabres fans, and honestly, I might be jumping on that bandwagon a little bit.
I think he has see what the management can do, see what he gets, because he still doesn't have a great defense. You still don't really have a #1 defenseman quite yet. I think Dahlin becomes that. Yeah. I think you need to add a second defenseman and then move from there. And I think he has maybe a short leash at the beginning of next year.
Yeah,
agreed. And with the NCAA March Madness tournament in full swing, the Stuck in the Simbin crew decided to make have their own fun. We've constructed a bracket consisting of 8 NHL mascots that we believe to be the best. In our first matchup of the Elite 8, it's the Wild Wing of the Anaheim Ducks and versus Mickey Moose from the Winnipeg Jets.
I gotta go with Wild Wing. You look at this here, it's just the classic Mighty Ducks look. I absolutely love it. I don't mess with the Moose. He's not very intimidating.
The Moose is incredible. He hails from Manitoba, of the Manitoba Moose, the AHL
Do you know where that is?
team.
Do you know where that
it's
is?
in Canada.
That doesn't count.
Wow. Canada's
a vast land.
It's like I think it's like slightly north of Chicago, like the Midwest of the U.S., but just above that, right?
Okay,
I just love the helmet. It's so cool. It's like the old logo that the Ducks had.
But then he's wearing the current jersey, and it's garbage.
Well, Mike, you are the deciding vote here.
Wild Wing, 100%.
Let's go. Let's go.
Our second matchup, it's Bailey from the Los Angeles Kings versus Sj Sharkey from the San Jose Sharks.
Bailey, as in the OG Gritty, as in an incredible Twitter presence. The antics all stem from Bailey. So I got to give my vote to that.
You know, I love Bailey. I love the Twitter presence that he has. But San Jose Sharkey is doing the world a favor. He's eating young Penguins fans. He's ridding the world of the Penguins.
That's
He's
like
doing
community
the people's
service
work.
right there.
Community service. I'm going Sj Sharkey.
Sj Sharkey. Yep.
Moving on.
On the other side of the bracket, matchup 1, Gritty from the Philadelphia Flyers versus Sparky from the New York Islanders.
I'd like to see Matt even put up a reason as to why.
He's going to be biased.
Sparky, a multi-tool, dual sport mascot.
You're reading like Sparky's Wikipedia page and expecting us to
I know this. He was back in the Arena Football League when Charles Wong owned the New York Dragons. Sparky was their mascot, and he transformed to be the Islanders mascot as well because they share the Coliseum. I have two Sparky bobbleheads, a nice red one for the Dragons and a blue one for the Islanders, and they're beautiful. Sparky all the way.
I gotta go with Gritty. The antics that he does, it's all over the place, and I love it.
Unoriginal.
I like Dragon mascots, don't get me wrong, but it's Gritty we're talking about.
Gritty 100% for that round. Matchup 2, Chance from the Vegas Golden Knights versus Victor E. Green from the Dallas Stars.
I do like Chance. I like the name with them being in Vegas. Chance, you know, roll the dice. I like that. But Victor E. Green kind of has that Philly fanatic MLB type of vibe to him. I love the hockey sticks behind the ears.
Those are nice touch.
Those are nice.
Sticks.
So
I
might be the odd man out, but I'm going Victor E. Green.
I'm going with Chance on this one.
Yeah, Chance all the way. I like the name in Victor E. Green, but I got Chance is awesome. It's a Gila monster. It's incredible. It's a soft G.
But they're the Knights.
He kind of looks like a statue a little bit, too.
I don't know really what he is. Yeah.
I love him. He looks
I think he's kind of like a lizard-looking thing.
Muscles.
It's like a lizard.
Yeah. Definitely going with Chance on this one. And on to the final 4. Back the other way, the first matchup is Wild Wing versus Sharky.
This is a tight matchup, but I'm going to stick with Wild Wing. And one feature we didn't touch on is those are some nice looking shoes on them. I don't know if they're duck feet or they could have been webbed, which would have been nice.
Look at the shin pads on them,
shin
too.
How is that a good thing? That's a bad
thing. He's ready to go.
Why does he need shin pads? Be tough.
I'm going Wild Wing.
He's a hockey mascot. He's got to be tough. Sharky all the way.
He's a wild card.
So now you like Sharky.
I mean, yeah, but over Wild Wing.
But Wild Wing is
Come
awesome.
on.
Wild Wing is awesome.
Yeah, Wild Wing is a wild card, and he's our winner. And next matchup is Gritty versus Chance.
I mean,
Gritty.
No,
it's
really,
it's
really.
Yep.
This is a mascot. Keep in mind that has shot people with T-shirt guns. Not part of the plan. Not part of the plan, by the way. Unintentionally. Well, intentional on his part. The guy didn't want to get shot with a T-shirt gun. That's gotta hurt. From like 5 feet away. It's Chance all the way.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
I love his poise and his aggressiveness because he would body people in the balloon race or whatever that thing is called. I love the tenacity from Chance.
You could tear an ACL.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
You could tear. He could have torn a fan's ACL. How are we voting for this guy?
Stop speaking to the
he
people.
Wins. And in the finals, we have the quacking phenom Wild Wing versus, as we mentioned, the notorious Gritty.
I got to give my vote to Gritty. I mean, this man, you talk
Really?
about the underdog story. This is a guy that was not even a mascot last season.
He was the 1 seed.
He comes to the NHL and he takes over the league.
He's an underdog because Matt doesn't like him.
Exactly.
So
He was the 1 seed in this tournament. He was the favorite. He's the Duke of the mascot madness.
He's not. Duke is a historic program. Gritty, this is his first year as a
Gritty's
mascot,
historic.
and he has raised the bar.
It's like
he
an expansion
has done something
franchise
that we've never seen out of mascots before. You talk about the T-shirt gun. He streaks. He takes pictures for Time magazine. He does the Kim Kardashian pose. This man is absolutely incredible.
And he is our winner, the new kid in town. Matt is not approving.
Not a fan.
But if we
Not a
pull
fan.
up his resume,
is pretty spectacular.
His resume, look at that. Shots of him with T-shirt gun, elite Twitter game. I mean, that just puts you over. And notorious for fighting other mascots. He's also
How is that a good thing? He fought Bailey, the OG. That's basically like me going to like my dad. You know, he's a Watling. You know, he comes
He's
from
the OG Watling.
He brought me on. He trained me. He raised me, and now I'm just disrespecting him, basically spitting in his face.
No,
The
because you're
disrespect
supposed to raise your
is
son to
unreal.
be better than you, and Bailey raised Gritty to be better than him. And Gritty is better. One thing we haven't mentioned is, you know, when you search a mascot's name, Gritty has so many different poses, so many different things he's doing. He jumped from the roof of an arena. He is just incredible. Incredible.
I love him.
No, not a fan.
You can't. That's just not a hill you should want to die on.
I'm already dead.
The people are against you, Matt.
Already gone in the cell.
Gritty,
Sorry about that.
Is the champion.
Wrong.
After all this fun, it's sadly to say that this is the end of this week's episode of Stuck in the Sin Bin. Thank you all so much for joining us this week. For Luke Owens, Matt Watling, and I'm Michael McCormack, and we'll see you all back here next Wednesday, same time, same place on WTOP Tap.